Are you the scapegoat in the relationship that you're currently in? I'm going to dive into it today, and I want you to hear it from a perspective of me as a self-aware narcissist, and maybe even sounding in the way of he might have sounded, to show you what it actually sounds like, what it actually feels like on this side, hopefully wake you up or help you inside the healing process. If you want to know more about what I do, you can go to rawmotivations.com, but I want you to hear this really quick inside this piece of the scapegoat. When we're talking through the scapegoat, I used to think the scapegoat inside the family was just being dramatic, was too emotional, was too sensitive. At least that's what I told myself, and that's what I told her. That's what I convinced everyone else to believe too. I needed someone to carry the shame that I refused to feel, and she was the perfect one for it because she was soft, she felt deeply, she questioned things, she pushed back, not always loudly, but she noticed. And because she noticed, she saw me for who I really was. Even before I saw it myself, she had to be punished over and over and over again. This is the piece of the scapegoat. You see, the scapegoat in the family doesn't volunteer for the role. Like, she's assigned to it by people like me, by narcissistic fathers or mothers or siblings or entire families built around one or two people who refuse to take ownership of their dysfunction. So we can outsource chaos. We can hand our rage to someone else to hold it so we can keep pretending that we're the victim. Like, it's disgusting when I say it out loud now, but that's what I did, and that's how I showed up. The piece inside of it that I had to blame her. Like, she was blamed for everything. The family tension, that was her fault. The fights, that must be her tone. It must be how she interacted. The disconnection, it was because she was too sensitive. Like, I played these cards over and over and over. I gaslit her, I minimized her, I made her question her memories, her perceptions, her identity. If she started to believe that she might be valuable, well, I'd yank it away with a sarcastic jab or a well-timed silent treatment inside of it. Like, I made her think that walking on eggshells was normal, that that was life. Like, love came with a price tag called perfection that she had to live up to. Like, she never had a moment to breathe without wondering what was the next landmine that she was going to step on where I was going to explode. Like, I withheld things constantly, not just affection. I withheld clarity, consistency, comfort, truth. One day I joke with her like nothing was wrong. The next I go completely cold, as if she didn't even exist. I'd sit in the same room knowing that she was aching for me to say something, and I just stay quiet. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I knew the silence would crush her more than any words that I could say. Withholding was a favorite form of control. It was a way that made me feel powerful over her, in charge. I didn't even have to raise my voice. I could just disappear, withdraw emotionally, and watch her spiral out. And when silence wasn't enough to control her, I used rage. Not always screaming, I could, but I had this intensity that I could flip a switch. I could make the room vibrate with tension. Like, she never knew what would trigger it. She had no clue what was going to happen. Sometimes she just asked a question, and that was enough. The scariest part inside of this was, like, even when I wasn't raging, she lived like I was because she lived under the threat of it. Like, walking on eggshells didn't just happen when I was mad. It was all the time because she never knew when it was going to flip. That's the power that rage gave me. I didn't have to be active all the time to be effective, but when the rage came, it wasn't just random. It was meant for punishment. And that's the part a lot of people don't see. Like, if it's at this place where I start to lose control, I have to get control back. So if she challenged me, she'd get punished. If she expressed the need, well, let's punish her. If she asked for clarity, called out something that I did, said she was hurt, challenged my narrative, what I was saying, it was like she lit the fuse, and I had to make sure the explosion was big enough that she would think twice about ever bringing that up again. Don't bring that up again because of how I'm going to react. When I wasn't blowing up, when I wasn't icing her out, then it'd be passive-aggressive comments. Make little comments with a smile, like jokes at her expense. There'd be different remarks that I'd do in front of other people just to undermine her, pretending I didn't hear what she said. Like, you always have to make it about you, don't you? Or, wow, guess you're not Superwoman after all. Like, little things to put her down. And if she called me out, I'd laugh, being like, come on, don't be so sensitive. It was just a joke. Always a joke. A joke that chipped away at her worth one piece at a time. Sometimes I'd sabotage her in ways that no one else could see, like maybe making her late for important things, withholding information, changing plans at the last minute, acting like it was her fault if she was running out the door, I'd suddenly need something, and we need to talk, be something urgent, just to throw her off. And if she called it out, I'd act like I was hurt, like she was the selfish one, like she didn't care about me. she'd end up apologizing for my sabotage to her. And when that wasn't enough, I'd humiliate her. Whether it be in front of friends or family, colleagues, share secrets, make little jabs that I knew would hit her deepest wounds. Tell stories that made her look ridiculous while wearing a smile. It wasn't about fun, it was about making her feel small in front of other people to keep her afraid of ever stepping out of line. It was about reinforcing that I held the narrative, that I controlled how people saw her, even her reputation that belonged to me. It was about controlling the narrative, what I wanted to control. The worst part about all this is people would believe. Like, I made sure they did. I'd tell half-truths, I'd tell different lies, I'd post things just the right way, I'd talk to family and friends just the right way of how hard it was to deal with her, talk to other affair partners, like being like, hey, she's being so difficult. Like, I'd cry to them, play the victim, say I didn't know how to help her anymore. And they give me the pat on the back, say how strong I was for putting up with her. And meanwhile, she just got more and more isolated and alone, trying to survive a reality that no one else could see because I was giving them only one story. I turned people into weapons, flying monkeys. Like, they had no idea that they were being used. They thought they were helping. And that's how deep the manipulation could go. I could weaponize empathy, hers and everyone else's, to be able to use it for my benefit. Even when we weren't together anymore, I still punished her. Like, if she dared to leave, I'd make sure she saw how amazing my new life was. The variations, the body, the girls I was with, like, all curated to be able to say, look, you were the problem. Look how happy I am without you. And if she had the courage to block me, I'd find ways around it. Fake accounts, shared friends. I needed her to see it, to doubt it, to question if she ever even mattered in my world, because that would make me feel better and make her feel worse. Manipulation would happen in all different ways, of different promises that I'd put. Making sure to pull away, then come back, making her feel guilty for asking help, dragging her through all the dumb questions and thoughts and fights and everything that I do, not because I cared about the outcome, but I cared about control. I cared about watching her squirm, so I felt better about myself. So I avoided all accountability. I avoided who I was. And when she finally left and started to heal, if she struggled, I was right there of like, see, I told you so. See, life's hard without me. You need me in your world, because I wanted her to fail, because her success meant the narrative that I built was a lie. And I couldn't let that happen. The thing is, I didn't want her to be okay without me. I didn't want her to heal, because healing meant she could finally see me clearly. Not the me that I pretended to be, but the actual version of myself that I tried so hard to bury under manipulation, under charm, under control. I needed her broken, because a broken of her still questioned herself, still doubted her self-worth, still needed my validation, and that kept me in the power of the power and control. Like, I wanted to be needed, not loved. And if she started to figure that out, the more she started to figure it out, the more it became dangerous that she became, not physically, but emotionally, because clarity was a threat to my image, the story that I was selling to everybody else. Her boundaries became a threat to my game, so I have to push harder, guilt trip her about the family, make her feel responsible for keeping the peace, make her think that other people are worried about her. People don't understand why you're pulling away. Like, why can't you forgive? Why can't you move on? Like, all of this carefully put together so that she would feel bad. She would feel like the villain. And when she stopped reacting, then that's where it really started to fall apart for me, because the truth is, the scapegoat gets punished because she reacts. That's what gives the narcissist ammunition. Her tears, her anger, her attempts to reason with me, all of it fed into my narrative. See, she's crazy. She's unstable. And when she stopped explaining and stopped begging and stopped performing, I had nothing left to manipulate. Silence is powerful when it's hers. One of these pieces that happens is when she doesn't rise to take the bait. Like, if I drop a sarcastic comment in front of other people, something that I knew would get a spark, have a reaction, and she just looked at me. No anger, no sadness, just clarity. Like, she finally saw it. This was the beginning of the end of like, wait a second, I understand the manipulation. And still, even then, I tried to find new ways to keep her stuck. Sending vague messages, things like, hope you're okay, like, hope you're doing well. I heard something that made me think of you. Like, here's a picture of when we used to be together. Like, all different things. Not because I care, not because I wanted to fix it, but because I wanted to keep the door cracked open. I wanted to keep her in limbo. You see, punishment isn't always just a subtle thing. Sometimes it's very quiet. Sometimes it's keeping someone so emotionally tethered that they can't fully walk away. I watched her build a life without me. I saw the cracks that I used to exploit slowly start to fill. I saw her smile again, not the performative smile that she used to give me to avoid conflict, but a real one, and it terrified me. Because if she could be okay, maybe I never had the power that I thought I did. If she was able to thrive, maybe she was never weak. Maybe I was the one that was good at convincing her that she was. And I told myself lies to make sense of all of it. She's just pretending. She'll come back. She'll realize I was the only one who ever really cared. But deep down, there was a piece of me that knew that she wasn't pretending. She was finally moving and being free. And that's what scared me the most, because her freedom was proof that I was the one keeping her in prison. And that reality is a hard one to sit with, that I was the abusive one, that I was the one controlling, that I couldn't paint her as the villain. Sometimes I'd wonder what she tells people. Like, does she warn other people about the story that I would tell? Does she use her story to help other people see the signs? Like, I wouldn't blame her if she did. In fact, I think that's one of the things that I fear the most, the exposure, not just in itself, but the idea that someone could take what I did and turn it into healing. That something that came from my manipulation could become someone else's transformation. And still inside of this, part of me wants to reach out to say sorry, to confess. But the truth is, I don't know if that's for her or if that's for me. I don't know if I want to make amends or if I just want to soothe my own guilt. And I won't put that burden on her, not now, not when she's finally started to break free, because that's what I want, to get her back to control. She deserved better. She always did. And I told myself many times that I was helping her grow, that my criticism was making her stronger, that my control was protecting and loving her. But that was just another lie I was believing. I wasn't building her, I was breaking her down. Just enough to make sure that she stayed under my control. There's a part of me that envies that, because as she continues to move, as she continues to grow, she starts to find a way to feel, to connect, to be vulnerable and still survive. I had to wear masks. She took hers off. I used shame. She started to see truth. And that contrast haunts me. You see, people talk about narcissists like we're monsters, and I get it. Oftentimes we are. We cause harm. Real permanent damage and harm. But what people don't understand too is that oftentimes we're scared at the same time. I'm terrified of actually being seen, of being left, of being unimportant for our ego. When you give someone like me that kind of fear, we'll do anything to make it disappear, even if it means destroying the other person who saw us clearly. Because I don't want to own up to the image. I don't want to own up to the accountability. I don't want to own up to the responsibility of who I was and what I did. And that's what she did. She saw me clearly, not the version that I put on display. She saw the version underneath the mask. Like, not the version that I let the world see. She saw the manipulation, the emptiness, the desperate need of control over her. And that's why she had to be the scapegoat. Because if she wasn't the problem, then maybe I was. If she wasn't the issue, then I had to face myself. And I wasn't ready to face that, which is why she left. I wonder if there's a piece inside of this, like, that the growth has to happen for her to be able to see it's not her. Like, all of these years of self-blame were lies that I fed her so that she wouldn't leave, so that I could control her. She knows now that it's not her fault. No one deserves to be the scapegoat. No partner deserves to be minimized. No woman deserves to carry the weight of someone else's brokenness. And that's what a narcissist does. Projects and puts blame on everybody else. The scapegoat is the most dangerous person in a narcissist world, because that person holds the truth of what's actually happening. That person has evidence. She's the one who can burn it all down, not with revenge, but with clarity of what's happening, with peace, with healing. That's why narcissists will fight so hard to keep you down. That's why I'm going to punish you over and over, because if you rise, the whole illusion falls apart, disintegrates. And she did rise. I watched it happen. I watched her go from trembling to certain, from scared to solid, from begging for answers to no longer needing them and being able to move forward. And there's a piece of me that I felt that wasn't just rage, it wasn't just fear, it wasn't just guilt. It was loss of control. Like this gutting, irrevocable loss of, I lost control over her. I lost control over the narrative. But even more than that, I lost the one person who ever had the strength to love me enough to see the truth, because she walked away. And when she saw the truth, I destroyed her. because I thought punishment would make her stay. That if I could just make it hard enough to leave, she'd give up trying. That if I could just bury her under enough shame and guilt and fear, she'd fold. But what I didn't expect was her silence, her distance, and the way she slowly, methodically walked out of my reality into her own. And that's the worst punishment of all for me, was her healing and her indifference. Because when she left, the mirror shattered and I was left just with me. That's the piece I never want to be with. I used to think that I was the strong one, the one that could endure anything, the one who could push through, had it all together. But I see now that piece was on her. She was the one who carried the weight of my dysfunction. She was the one who kept trying, even when there was no proof that I'd ever changed, because I never put any effort forward. She stayed far longer than what she should have, and I took advantage of that. I used her resilience as a license to keep breaking her down over and over and over again. When people say narcissists are broken, like, they're not wrong. It's a big piece that's broken, but we don't bleed on the outside, we bleed inward. And that internal bleeding could drown everyone around us. Like, the goal is creating chaos to feel alive, manipulating loyalty, calling it love, punishing devotion, calling it weakness, and somewhere along the way, convincing ourselves that we're the victim. Because facing the truth of what I'd actually done, that was unbearable. I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to acknowledge it. I didn't want to own up to it. And the part inside this, when we're dealing with the scapegoat, is the scapegoat's never the weak one. The scapegoat's the threat. Deep down, she already knew. She already knew something was off in the relationship. She already knew, like, love felt hollow. It felt weird. That control was, like, suffocating. She asked me questions that no one dared to ask. She didn't just survive the abuse. She remembered. She noticed. She named it. And that's why she had to be the target. That's why all the stuff had to fall on her. She had to be the scapegoat. I had to isolate her. I had to twist words. I planted seeds of doubt in everyone else's mind. I painted her as unstable, emotional, too sensitive. I needed to poison the well so that no one would drink from her truth. But when it didn't work, the truth, and like, the reason why is because truth, like, it doesn't need agreement to exist. It just needs time for people to actually see, for the dust to settle and see that she's standing quiet, whole, unapologetic for who she was. There's pieces of it when she left, I hated her for moving on, for being okay, for refusing to come back. Like, how could you betray me? How could you leave me? I played the role of destroyer, and she didn't become me. She didn't do that. She didn't turn cold. She didn't retaliate. She just left. She healed. She let it hurt, and then she let it go. And there's a piece of me that didn't know how she did that, and it frustrated me. It pissed me off. Inside of this, you have to understand that narcissists will continue to do this and push it all on you, because he has to feel better about himself, who he lays it on you. That's what I did. I would lay it all on her so I didn't have to feel it, so I didn't have to acknowledge it, so I didn't have to actually own up to it. It was easier for me to push it onto her than it was to look in the mirror and see myself. This piece inside of me was what piece that I wanted to keep breaking down, keep hiding, keep running from, because I didn't want to admit that I had a dysfunction. I didn't want to admit that I was the problem. I didn't want to admit that I was the monster. I had to put it all on her so that she felt bad, so that she wouldn't feel like accepted, welcome, anything like that. When she left, that's when all the control disappeared. The control disappeared out of my world, out of my life, where I didn't have control over her. I didn't have control over the narrative anymore. All of it was gone. And she started to rise up inside of her own healing. She started to rise up inside of how she would show up, the peace, the freedom. All the pieces that I didn't want to give to her, she was able to move and start walking away. Like, I had to punish her through all of it because I didn't have something that she did. That was integrity. She showed up honest even when it hurt, vulnerable even when it was dangerous, loving even when it wasn't returned by me. And those things were the things I mocked. Yeah, I wanted them. But those things I lost a long time ago, if I ever even had them, because I wasn't looking to who I actually was. I wasn't trying to be the man that I should be. Instead, I wanted to show up as a liar. I wanted to show up that way so I didn't have to look at who I was. I didn't have to look at the story that I'd written so that she would be the villain in my life and I would be the victim. I didn't want to own any of it. I had to paint someone else so I didn't feel bad about myself. The reality is she was never the scapegoat. She was the evidence. Like, she was the truth that I was too afraid to actually face. And when she left, I didn't have anything else to face anymore. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're still in the relationship. You're still trying to find your way through the fog. You're still wondering if you're the problem. You're still trying to fix a man who keeps punishing you for loving him over and over. If that's you, I want to say this very clearly. It's not your fault. You're not broken. You're not too much. You do not deserve to be punished for having needs, for having emotions, or having a voice. The way that he treats you is not love, it's control. The silence, the rage, the humiliation, it's not your burden to carry anymore. You've already survived some of the worst parts of your world, of your life. Now it's time to start healing the rest. It's no longer you're going to be the scapegoat. If you're ready to step into a place of safety, to begin unpacking the damage, and to finally start moving forward towards freedom, then I want to invite you to reach out. You don't have to keep doing this alone, or confused, or frustrated. Drop the word breakthrough down in the comments, and I'll send you a link to book a free strategy session. Or you can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough to schedule it for yourself. This call isn't about pressure, it's about building clarity, about giving you support, the validation, and a roadmap that you've been searching for. You're not crazy. You're not the problem. You're not the issue here, and you're not alone inside of the healing space. Let's talk and let's help you rebuild. You've been told it's all your fault, and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you, and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times, and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Schedule a call there and let's talk.